Hello and welcome, friends. Welcome to another episode where I review Chinese made fountain pens. This time I have for you four pieces. As a disclaimer, they are rather missing some parts and they were included like bonuses or little gifts from the sellers. So don't expect much from this episode. First of all, I could not identify them. They have some interesting names, and I will try to do a writing sample with each of and every one. Some, or should I say, most of all, you can use cartridges to fill them up. I will show you each and every one of them. And of course, we will do some writing samples with each and every one. So, guys, let me start with the most interesting fountain pen. So, I will put those aside. You can see that on those three fountain pens, they are all missing their original caps, but this one has the original cap, and I will show it to you in detail. So I believe that when I bought this fountain pen, I was trying to get the box, and this happens to be in that box. And I told the seller, okay, I bought it from a flea market. I paid around 10 euros or 11 American dollars. And I was most interested about that box, which I believe was the box of Parker 51, or I'm not so sure. But this was in that box. So, guys, this is a metallic fountain pen, not such a heavy fountain pen, but it is an interesting piece. I will zoom on it because, guys, I believe that this clip is a replacement clip. You can see that it is a little bit bent over here, but initially I think that this was equipped with other type of clip. On it we have here metal, so metal with, I think, a German, I'm not so sure. This is a cool dome, gold, not gold plated, but I think it is goldish. I'm not so sure what material, but pretty sure it isn't not gold plated. You can see that the pan is a metallic pan covered with this sticker or lacquer. I'm not so sure what it is. It was affected, some parts, some of the lacquer has corroded, you can see here. The end, it lacks the ending, which I presume it was also a dome type like this, the ending. But what is interesting about this fountain pen, and I'm quite curious to see how it writes, we can see here a bock nib. And I recognize the bock nib because it has like a deer that is jumping through the mountain cliffs. So when you see this logo, guys, and you must think of the Bock German manufacturer. On it, besides that logo, we have engraved iridium point. So definitely a steel nib, gold plated, that has that iridium point. At the back we have quite a simple plastic feed. We have a rather nice design of the grip section in the fact that it ends in this metallic part. Is not such a good thing to end in this metallic part because it would corrode in time with the action of the ink, especially if you don't clean this fountain pen. And as you can see, in its lifetime, this was not cared, in the sense that the previous owners let it dirty with that ink and did not clean it properly. This section, the barrel unscrews, and what I like about this fountain pen is quite nicely made. Although we have a grip section made out of plastic, here we have a metallic one, and here we have a metallic one. So although it is corroded, it is quite nicely built. Judging by the way this cartridge looks, I think it used international size ink cartridges. Of course, I will just do a deep writing session with this beautiful book nib. By the way, I think it does not cap in this situation. It certainly does have a plastic part inside of it, but I think it was designed with this narrow dome at the end. And I think that narrow dome could enter that plastic part and cap it quite well. Okay, guys, I think that yes, I should do the writing sample, and after that we will move on to the next fountain pens. I'm sorry about this. It is from the previous review when I reviewed the ballpoint pen that had hidden this stamp inside of it. I will leave a link at the end of this video if this strange ballpoint pen presents interest to you and you want to see its small review. For the writing sample, I thought to myself that the FaberCastell turquoise ink will be great. I'm not going to do all the tests. I will simply try to find out if we have some flexiness to this nib so it doesn't post, guys. I will simply dip it in ink. I will remove the excess of the ink, and now let me show you how it writes. For this I think that I can change the angle of the camera because I want you guys to see better how it writes. Let me see. Yes, so I will leave this without the cap. So we have the first no name fountain pen where it writes quite nice and fitted with a German book nib. Quite a nice nib. I should say that it writes like an M, a medium nib, medium. And we have a Bock steel nib with a iridium point, gold plated. Unfortunately, it lost its plating, as you can see in some parts, especially near the breathing hole, which is quite prone to corroding and eroding, but it still looks quite nice. Let me show you guys if we have a flex nib. No flex to this nib. And let me see if we have some line variations. So here no pressure, guys, and here some pressure, and you can see no difference, so no line variation. Let me see how juicy it is. It seems like a nice juicy nib, as you can see. And let me see if we can reverse write with it. So reverse writing, definitely yes, definitely a possibility. And if in simple mode it writes like an medium one, in reverse mode it writes like a fine one. Okay, guys, now let me tell you, oh sorry, let me see if we can do a signature with this. Yes, quite nice. So because we have a wet nib, although without flex and no line variation, it certainly can do a nice signature. And now let me tell you about the quick brown fox that jumps over the lazy dog. So you can see, guys, a German nib, it's a German nib. So this Chinese made fountain pen fitted with a German made nib, you can see it writes quite well. So I will leave this aside. And now let's move on to the next fountain pen. This time we don't see any clue about the producer. It is made, let me zoom on it. So it is made in this matte black, and you can see the shade of the black by contrast. So the grip section is made out of this dark shiny plastic, and the body, the barrel, is made out of this, I think, metallic part, but covered in this black matte finish. The trims were gold, maybe gold plated, I'm not so sure. The nib is certainly gold plated. It is a steel nib, gold plated without any engravings on it. On the back we have a plain feed made out of plastic, and the body unscrews, revealing this interesting cartridge. So I saw a cartridge similar to this on Aurora fountain pens, and it is good that I have it included, because this is a narrow writing instrument. Of course, I can always fill it with a syringe, but this time I will simply dip it in ink like I did with the other one. So let me zoom out for you to see what I'm doing, guys. I'm simply putting this ink, again FaberCastell turquoise. I'm removing the excess of the ink. I'm repeating it. Okay, now removing the excess of the ink, and now let me see if we can write with it. So we have the second one. Yes, we can write with it. Let me zoom. Yes, this is the no name number 2. You can see the difference in the shade, and I presume that I didn't clean this fountain pen, so maybe it had initially a dark ink, maybe a black ink, or maybe a dark blue ink. So this is the result, guys. This is fitted with a steel nib, gold plated, but this time with no engravings on it, so we don't know for sure who made this nib, and I presume it was made by the same producer, Chinese producer. You can see that this nib is not flexible, no flex to it. And if we try to see the line variance, here no pressure and here a little bit of pressure, we don't see any line variance. Okay, let me test it to see how juicy it is. It appears to be quite a juicy nib, and I'm curious to see if we can reverse write with it. Reverse writing, definitely a possibility. If normal writes like an F, in reverse writing writes also like an F. A little bit of scratch, but it still can reverse right for short periods of time in my point of view. Now again, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. So quite a nice writer. Let me give you a little zoom on it. Let me show you how it writes. So this is the write. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. So it did quite all right. A nice fountain pen. It is a shame that I don't have its narrow cap. Maybe someday we will find some replacement parts for it. I will put it aside. Now I have, let me start with this one, which is quite similar, but this time we have some engravings on. I can put it side by side with the other one. So like I told you, this time we have some engravings on the cap, but no made in Germany or made in China. There are only those engravings that have a design roll. Definitely another shape of the nib. Let me see if we have the same feeder. No. Although they are made both out of plastic, we can see the different design on the other one. The other one, it resembles the first one, but it is more narrower than the first one. And I'm not so sure that it is a bock nib like the other one with the deer. We can see the same metallic part ending the grip section, but this time we have a rather strange design. You can see right above the grip section we have the original barrel, which you can see it is a metallic one, quite a shiny silver metallic one, and covering it, it is this material which for a reason or another the Chinese designers did some holes to it. It mimics ink window, a strange looking ink window, but in this case they are just fake windows that are open and we can see the metallic barrel. This fountain pen is quite strange in the sense that we have some gold trims here, but the main one are silver trims, like here and here. I think they match the silver that we can see on those holes, but it is quite an unpleasant aesthetic element. So if you do the trims, do them all silver or do them all in this gold finish. But it is what it is, guys. Let me open this barrel for you and you can see the difference. So this is a plastic part and this is a metallic part. In comparison, the first fountain pen, as you could see, has this part metallic and this also metallic, so it is much more stronger than this one. So again, this uses ink cartridges or ink converters. This time I don't have time to I will not fill it, but I will just dip it in ink and I will try to see how it writes. So this is the number 3 no name fountain pen. This time it was more clean than the other one and the shade of the turquoise remains the same. So no name number 2, also fitted with a steel nib, this time gold plated, and it has those beautiful engravings on it. Now let me test to see if we have a flexi nib. So no flex. I'm interested to see the line variation, those no pressure and those with pressure. Interesting, no line variance. And let me see if I can reverse write with it. Reverse writing. So definitely a possibility. It has some issues with the ink flow. I should call it a yes. If in normal mode writes like an F1, in reverse writing I think it writes like an extra fine. Now let me tell you about the quick. So here the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Quite nice. I'm impressed also on this nib. It certainly does its job. So now the last fountain pen. This time I think we have a semi-hooded nib, so you can't see all of it. It's hidden. Interesting, this nib is designed without a breathing hole. Like for example was this one. You can see that round breathing hole. Instead it has it is separated by that line which parts the two tines. Okay, a fountain pen without any engravings or clue about its manufacturer. I think that judging by the way it looks, this is a metallic cap, and glued into it is this material which seems to be like a paper machete or something that is glued on it. We have a dark green color. And what is interesting about this pen, we have the same metallic part here, and this is the plastic part. So not such a well-made fountain pen. The reserves, the cartridges seems to be international size types of cartridge, and the feeder looks quite nice, also partially hidden by the body of the pen. On the grip section we have some striations which have a nice role in gripping the fountain pen quite nice. Now let's see where I have still room to show you how it writes. So I will try to remove the excess. So this is the number 4, the no name number 4 fountain pen. It also has a steel nib, a semi-hooded nib, gold plated. Okay, now guys, let me see how juicy this nib is. Not such a juicy nib. Okay, let me test if we can do some line variations with it. No. And let me see if we have some line variance. So here, no pressure, and here a little bit of pressure. So you can see no visible line variance. Okay guys, so this was my last writing sample with the Chinese fountain pens. So in a total of 4 fountain pens. They do their job. Unfortunately they don't have their caps, so I presume that in time, in an hour or two, their writing samples will be much more difficult because the ink is getting dried over there. Guys, thank you for your time. This was my review with some nice looking fountain pens. I want to wish you, and bear with me, guys, because I want to see if I can write with all of them. So, guys, I want to wish you to have a nice day wherever you are. Thank you for your time. I hope you've enjoyed. I will see you at the next episode where I review other fountain pens. Till then, please take care of yourselves. Bye bye and God bless.